Welcome to episode 13 of Crazy Canuck Truckin'. We're so glad you could stop by and spend a few minutes with us. Now, you got the Crazy Canuck Dave introducing things today, and on the line with us, we have Bridget, the Size Matters Dakotan. Say hi, Bridget.
Hello, folks. Good to hear from all of you today. And before I forget, let's not forget in our continuing education of trucking 10 codes, today's 10 code will be 10-8. We are in service, which means that the three of us, David, myself, and our guest, are here and ready to go.
Yeah, and also at the beginning of the show, we like to remind people to like this and share it. And I got really good news, Size Matters. Even in these COVID times, you can like something like this and you can share it and nobody is going to get COVID. And so it's completely safe and you can just share away. You like it, you hit the like button. If you don't like it, send it to people you don't like, So we win every which way you go here. And Bridget, the Size Matters is a little bit busier today. So the official word is that she's outstanding in her field.
That's exactly right. There's a
yeah.
smidge of wind usually going on when you're outstanding in a field.
Well, see, that's the official word, but the unofficial word is, as people on Twitter know, Bridget is the queen of Twitter trades and sending packages to people. So what's actually happened, and I shouldn't be saying this, but we don't have that many listeners. So Santa Claus has actually asked Bridget to help out with his scheduling this year because he has a long list and knows that Bridget can help get all this stuff delivered for him. So he's kind of shy. They don't want to have any pictures, right, Bridget?
That's true. This does make me think maybe I'm just the size of an elf, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so we got somebody that we both know of that have not, but none of us have met our guest today. Do you have any idea who we got coming up, Bridget?
So I am excited to talk to our guest today. Please introduce him.
Okay, so we have Matt Kelly with us today. Welcome to the show, Matt. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thanks you guys for having me.
So you are from Saskatchewan, is that right?
You bet. Booming metropolis of Watrous, Saskatchewan. Population 2,200, I think, is what our population is.
So it's like better than Regina. Is that what I hear?
Yeah, everything's better than Regina.
Yeah. Your wife is Lesley, and she is one of the founders of Do More Ag, a mental health organization for farmers. And you have been somewhat involved with that. Can you tell us what you have done with that, Matt? What role you play with that, or how this all started?
Well, my tie to Do More Ag is kind of just in a supporting role of Lesley. Lesley has really taken the ball. Herself and Kim Keller and a few handful of other people have started a nonprofit for the farming industry there for mental health. Kind of my contributing factor was Lesley and I, Periscope video. She convinced me or we both convinced one another that we should start talking about mental health, being that I've been affected or have some mental health issues there that were ongoing. So we just had an open discussion, her and I, and kind of wanted to normalize the conversation. We didn't realize where it was going to go after the conversation. We sat down at our kitchen table in Regina when we were living in Regina, and we just had an honest conversation about some of the mental things that I've gone through being a farmer and being away from my family and some long hours and stuff. So that was kind of the contributing factor to helping get Do More going, I guess, was the normalization of my mental health story through farming there. So
So Matt, if I could ask a question, as a farmer, and when most consumers or those out of ag watch what happens on social media, they see this idyllic family farm. Everybody is having a wonderful day. The kids are out in the field or around the livestock, and it just looks like it's the world's best lifestyle, which it is, by the way. But I don't think people always understand the stress that comes along with being on that farm. Would you be so kind as to share some of the reasons why there's a lot of stress in your life as a farmer?
Well, I can speak to what I go through. When I started farming I farm with my father-in-law and my brother-in-law, Lesley's dad and brother. So that was an added dynamic to our farm and our farm situation, which we realized would be a hurdle going in. Everybody had eyes wide open, of different personalities working with one another. That was one of the thing that was a huge thing for myself coming in. The day-to-day grind, as I've talked about before, is actually not that stressful for myself. I can seem to work through most of my anxiety is what I primarily have, anxiety, and then a bit of depression that comes into it. So, but I find the work therapeutic. It's the mental grind of working with people, Mother Nature, which is a huge part of our uncontrolled part of our job, I guess, is like when we first started farming, we'd ended up dealing with a lot of moisture. We had 30 inches of rain the first year, 12 the second, and then 30 something the next year. So we were completely swamped. So that environmental end of it really played into a factor. Too, we're up and coming people, or up and coming business, or young farmers getting started, trying to jockey for land and build up our land base. So there's a whole mix of things that go along with it, right? So.
At the time you were starting your farm with Lesley and her family, were you was that your only job at the time, or what else? What else is your background?
Well, my background, I'm a journeyman ag mechanic by trade. I have worked in the oil field. So I first started farming with Garnet and Derek and Lesley too. I would work from March until November, and then I would go work a 6-month shift for the company I used to work for. I'd taken a contract position, so I was doing that the first 2 years that I was actively farming. So I would head up to Fort McMurray and work in the oil patch in the winter. So that added to it in our separation there. And then also I ended up stepping down from my contract position in the oil field, and ended up starting up between Derek and I, my brother-in-law and I, we'd started a custom spraying business. We dive into growing. We were living in Regina after. We'd started a custom hauling business. So we were hauling light equipment from Brandt Industries in Regina. So yeah, we had a menagerie of different businesses in order to get, keep our head above water and generate some income off farm, right? So we had a menagerie of different things going on, and lots of fun, and it was fun, but we had employees too to boot, so that added to the added mental space, being full all the time trying to run these other businesses.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get back to that video that you and Lesley did. I think that's probably 3-4 years ago now. Anyway, I remember seeing that, and I was really touched by that. What did you expect? What were your expectations when you started that video?
My expectations, as you can see in that video, not being in front of a camera, I was pretty anxious. You could see my anxiety really bothering me there. I was worried about the way I would come across and how people would judge me. Plus, too, it's like taking your clothes off and walking naked in front of everybody. And I didn't realize how many people would watch it. And it was amazing how the ball started to roll and roll very fast. I was really surprised at how many local people that I've grown up with or known and have tight relationships with that have struggled with this similar things that I've struggled with. And you know, there was a lot of pats on the back for it, you know, and it was, that's not why we did it. It was just to normalize the conversation and say, it's all right. You know, people that are struggling, or if you're looking for answers, you know, you keep moving forward, right? And having that open conversation. But it was amazing. Amazing to see how it went.
Well, yeah, you answered what would have been my next question, was how did it turn out compared to your expectations? And I know for myself personally, then the ideas I've had in my head before I started speaking out, and then after, you know, I've been same experience, been blown away by the reception I've gotten. And I know with you and Lesley, you had a lot of response to that, and I think that continues today. What do you think is that the biggest barrier to speaking out, is what we think is going to happen?
I think so. I think there, you never know the outcome of having a really open conversation like that. And as people, we have a tendency to judge, and you know, I'm not painting everybody with the same brush. You know, I had some backlash from my family, and you know, the trial at the start, but you know, trials and tribulations of life and how things change. There's actually my parents, you know, not too long after, you know, actually said, you know, I see why you guys have done this, and you know, I see that direction, and now it's helped even with the way our family dynamics is I'm growing really close to Garnet and Darlene, my mother and father-in-law, and having that open conversation and being open. I think it's made everybody feel comfortable to do it, and that's the way it should be, right? You know, there has been some negative backlash, but actually Lesley's buffered all that for me, because I am not a social media person. But I find social media to be a hard thing for myself. I find that there's some faceless people out there that like to pass judgment and think that they need to use that as a platform, and we're only just doing this for, you know, to help. We're not doing it for any publicity or anything like that. And it's amazing the way things have gone and what they've done, and they've done a lot of great things, and given a lot of hope to people that maybe, you know, couldn't see that light, right? So I think it's changed the lives of a lot of people.
I really think you have. I think that there's just what you said. A lot of people feel like there's hope. And I want to ask a question from a different perspective. And that is, as a farm kid myself growing up through the late 80s, here in North Dakota, we had a 2-year drought. During that time, there were a myriad of reasons why we sold our dairy herd, and different things happened on the farm. And I remember at the time seeing stress in my parents, not knowing why, and not really putting 2 and 2 together. Looking back, I could see, you know, my parents went through quite a lot. Now, if you're as that parent, Matt, because you have small kids, would you recommend for people to talk more openly about it in front of their family and their children, versus as a teenager, my folks wouldn't talk about what was going on or what the stress was or finances or anything? Do you have any advice to others?
Yeah, my projection or perspective has changed. Like I came from a family too. Actually, my dad didn't farm. My dad was a grocery store owner. He quit a government job to go own a grocery store in small town Imperial, Saskatchewan, which is smaller than Watrous. I've seen trials and tribulations that they went through and in through life and finances and stuff like that. And yeah, they kept things behind closed doors, and they didn't ever want to create any anxiety with us or worry with us, so everything was kept hidden. um I can see why they did it, and I'm not blaming them. That's their way. I think we're changing things here, and we are, especially with our children. And we can recognize things. I can recognize traits in my two sons. They're two different sides of the coin, but we try to help them and have that conversation and say, like, things are bothering you, it's okay to talk about it. Maybe mom and dad don't have the answers, but we'll get you as much help as we can, or whatever. We haven't come to that point yet, but it's all about feeling comfortable and feeling confident to have that open conversation and not hide behind it, or push those emotions down there. At times we have to figure it out, but if we're having troubles, have that conversation with mom and dad, or let them know what's going on. We don't tell them about all the finances and stuff because they're fairly young, but when we're having a good day, we're having a good day. If we're having a bad day, we explain it, right? And this is what's going on, and then they have an understanding, and then it's open, right? And I think that's the way we're going to do it. So I'm not saying that we're everybody, but it changes their eye on the world, right? So if they feel that way, right, if they can feel comfortable having those conversations, right?
And that's that's awesome, Matt. I was one that didn't believe in mental health when I was first married, and then circumstances happened, and I realized that I wasn't what I thought I was, and mental illness was not a weakness. And so my kids have seen me be from what I was before. My older ones, especially, the younger ones, not so much, but I really find it's so important to be open with the kids and honest, and say, look, some things, made mistakes, you know, and I think that's always a good thing to show humility with your kids. You mentioned before you are a coach. Is that something that helps you cope mentally? Is that something, or is it what's the reason for that?
For coaching hockey,
Yeah.
I don't know. I never thought I'd enjoyed coaching, and I'm actually finding that I am. I think I have just maybe a little different perspective on things, and the way about doing things. I played hockey I've grown up with. Well, my brother was drafted, and played semi-pro or pro in the AHL for the Toronto organization. So you always, like, I started out life with that persona of you don't do anything, you just keep your head down and grow, or work hard and good things happen. Understanding the kids a little bit more, and the ability to harness the skill and allow them to believe in themselves, and it's not always about winning, but it's a growth of a team and supporting one another, and the hockey is actually quite a bit more, and teaching the young kids the fundamentals, and 90% of top talent is it's mental, right? It's the ability to recognize and react, and I think if the kids can learn some of the supporting roles that maybe, at the start, and learn how to manage and understand, and, their reactions, and coach them, I think there's a lot of good things that come out of it, right? So
I think it's great that they can have somebody like you that can help guide them in times like this when they in their formative years. What else do you find really helps with your mental health?
what I find that really helps with my mental health is that we've made some real life changes. When I first started farming, I was burning the candle at both ends, essentially trying to live two lives. And my thing is I like to work hard, and I'm a goer, I'm a doer, I'm a pleaser, right? And what I found was I was living two lives essentially. So what we've done is we've moved from Regina, we've moved to Watrous here, bought a house here in town. We don't live on the farm. Actually, my brother-in-law is living on the farm there now. But we've gotten back to our roots, back to, our passions, right? And with the support of Lesley, for her, to give up her job with Farm Credit Corp, you know, that was a massive thing, because I get to see my kids every night in a camper 2 hours away from my family, and that the miles from one another, it was wearing on me. And I'd done the driving, and the company I worked for, when I worked in the oil patch too, it was lots of miles. So but anyways, that was one main thing there. Trying to live a physical or an active life, the work on the farm, but also playing rec hockey and having a group of friends. That's what I was really missing too. Is I was essentially felt like I was an individual, and because I was living the two lives, I didn't have any time for friends and going out with people. Although COVID's kind of swung that back the other way, but we can manage it in small town. Yeah, and just having honest conversations with Lesley, and also what giving back now too, because I still, by doing this, you're an open book essentially, and I have a lot of people that have come up to me, and at times, if I'm mentally capable of, like, sometimes you're running on full, and it's okay to know. I've learned that too, is try to give them some support and give them some numbers that they can call and talk to. Just recognizing that, and it feels good to help and feels good to give back, but as much as I can. Like I said, I'm not in the social media aspect. I'm at level 1 right now, I guess I would say. But I just find things that works for me, and I just relax. That's the biggest thing, and get a good night's sleep. As simple as having a good night's sleep is what I try to focus on, and spending as much time with my kids too. And that's really recharged me.
So you mentioned how COVID has really swung things the other way, and 2020 has been kind of nuts for a lot of us. To bring a little bit of fun into today's discussion, what are a couple of highlights from 2020 that were just fun for you, Matt?
Fun right now is we have a backyard rink that we've been, another one of the neighbors, or one of my friends here, it's his rink, but I've been helping him with it quite a bit here. It's our first year of doing it, him and I, and that's been a real highlight, and watching my boys and his boys get out there and go around skating. And still to be able to be out on the ice with kids too, and do the coaching. I'd always been an assistant, but now I'm head coaching this year. Even with the changes of the rules of the COVID, we're still managing to have practices. We only are allowed 8 on the ice, but that's a real highlight for myself. I'm really enjoying it. And also we had a good crop this year. That's been a real highlight too. And our farm moved forward, and our business moved forward. And yeah, and with COVID changing, Lesley does a lot of public speaking and is gone quite a bit. I found it quite nice that she's been around. I know she would say different, but her and I have gotten a lot closer. So
There are some spouses that have realized they like being home together, and others have not.
well, and with the COVID rules changing, she was out on the combine more this year than she's ever been, and she's really showed an interest and involved more on the farm, doing more farm work, which is, it's nice to have her out there and show that she wants to run things, and yeah, it's nice.
So, David, I'm going to ask you the same question too. As we think about all the stuff that's happened in 2020, it's not all fun. What's a couple of good highlights that you want to share?
Oh, my highlights, this podcast. If it wasn't for COVID, I probably wouldn't have started a podcast. And I thought it would be a good idea to, have some conversations with people, a little bit about mental health, a little bit about funny stories. And I didn't realize how addicting it was going to be. And I look forward to these times every single time to record. And I think that's been the biggest highlight for me, because with COVID, I'm home less than before. Being an essential driver, essential trucker, then it's been different that way. But it's really, I've spent more time on the phone, I guess, or more time checking up on others than I've done before, and just reaching out with the podcast, and got in touch with a lot of different people because of the podcast, and it's been good. And yeah, that's how it's going. What about you, Bridget? You're at home a lot more than you used to be.
Some. I would say a highlight for me is that I didn't let 2020 stop me from still enjoying the things that I do. And so I was still able to see the kids as, because our kids are adults. So I still got to see kids on a regular basis, maybe because they weren't doing as many things, maybe more than what we had before. And I got to enjoy the fact that I live in a rural state and I had a lot less chaos in my life than other people. I call that a win.
Yeah, when I am home now, there's no pressure of getting together with other people. I'm home and I'm with my family, and I love that. Love being with my family, and because we couldn't get together then with other people, then I did spend more time when I was home just with a family, so that was really good. On the farm, what is your favorite job to do there?
I enjoyed all that. My favorite job is harvest or combining. That's what I really enjoy, because then you get to see the fruits of your labor come to fruition, right? So harvest time, although it's probably the longest season, I would say that running the combine, I would say.
Saw a lot of pictures of you and Lesley in the combine on date nights, or it seemed like a lot anyway. Date night in the combine, or kids riding in the combine. Yeah. It's always a lot of fun, eh?
Oh yeah. It is. It's kind of my oldest boy. He's the one that does the last 3 or 4 swipes to the field. And Lesley too. Yeah, it's nice. She's in her own piece of equipment now, so the cab's getting smaller with our boys getting bigger. But yeah, it's always nice to have that and to take that time. Where I never used to take that time, right? But yeah, those are pretty special moments.
So now that everybody's at home and around a lot more, are you thinking about getting a couple of cows, letting the boys show some goats? Any livestock coming to the farm, Matt?
No livestock coming to this farm. We're strictly grain. Actually, we ended up we did purchase a farm here. Derek and I here. There's some rented land that we ended up picking up to purchase, and there's actually a corral area and stuff like that. But I have no knowledge about animals, so I don't want to plunge into that. Well, we've got a dog now again, and I'm happy with that. So.
Okay, sorry, I had to take myself off mute.
Thought it was getting kind of quiet there.
I was just talking to myself.
Santa Claus was asking you some questions.
Yeah, he was checking my maps for me.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
So,
how do we get all these parcels?
But Matt, so Matt, with all of the things that you do, farm wise, etc., is there a piece of advice that you find yourself giving often to others as you have worked with Do More Ag? Is there something that is kind of your tagline?
I kind of take a tagline from my father-in-law is that you don't, like with farming, you can wear many hats, but focus on the one hat that you want to wear. There are people out there that you can hire to give you the answers for specialized things. Just pick a thing that you enjoy to do on the farm and focus on that. Try not to focus on everybody else's jobs. Just focus on one thing.
Now, between the two of you with Bell Let's Talk and Do More Ag, if people are wondering how to contact or reach out to those organizations, do you have contact information y'all can share?
I think it's domoreag.com. And then, Bell Let's Talk.
Did she come up with that slogan I've seen on her t-shirts? World's okayest grain cart driver?
Yeah, that's her persona. She used to get thrown into the grain cart when we were short men. And what happened usually was it's all spur of the moment. So everybody's got different hand signals in the way that they do things. So it makes it interesting for her. And she finally told the guys that she's not going to dump on the go. Like, she stops the grain cart and then the combines come to her. So that's her way. So yeah.
I think she's pretty smart. I don't think there's anything wrong with her method.
Well, and she said, well, she got the opportunity to run the combine, and now that's where she says she wants to stay, because then she doesn't have to worry about running after 3 combines. She just has to worry about herself. So
grain cart drivers always get a lot of flack, don't they?
Oh, big time. They can never go fast enough.
Yeah. Tell you, sure changed from the days when I was much younger, and we were running a Massey 300 combine, 8-foot straight cut header on it, 55 bushel hopper. I think it was 55 bushel. Just crazy. Just took us so long to get anything done. And when that was brand new on the farm, it was a real kick-ass machine. Anyway, Matt, I really appreciate your time. And I will put some things in the show notes for people that want to follow up with Do More Ag and with Bell Let's Talk, or wherever else you and Lesley want to. Appreciate you speaking out a few years ago and starting the ball rolling with farmers, or helping to start the ball rolling with farmers and mental health, and speaking up as a fairly young guy that in an industry, where you don't typically talk about things like this. And we're trying to do the same thing with trucking as well, and get people to realize that it's fine to talk, and it's fine to admit that you have some issues, and when you know that, you can be a much better person. Do you have any final thoughts for us, Matt? Anything you want to leave us with?
Thank you for inviting me onto your podcast, and I would say thank you guys for keeping the mental health ball rolling and talking about it and being open about it. You know, it takes walks of life to make this world go round, right? So it's an amazing journey that we're on, and keep moving forward.
Thank you, everybody.